What's up, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more techno. I did want to apologize in advance if I look like hell. I've had a crazy experience. It's a bit first world problem, so I'm not going to go too in depth here, but all the files that I had gotten from my old channel I had put onto a new external hard drive, and then I was in the process of moving one of those files, or not just one, a few files, to a folder on my PC, and there was a brief power outage. When everything came back on, my external hard drive had fatally malfunctioned, didn't work anymore. All those files inaccessible. I freaked the hell out because I was only supposed to have access to my old channel until last weekend, but somehow I was still able to log in. And I spent all day and literally missed out on a full night's sleep just trying to get everything again. I think I did, so I think I have all the files again. But honestly, this moving from one YouTube channel to another thing just never ceases to become ridiculous or more ridiculous. Nevertheless, that is maybe the reason for my haggard appearance and slightly tired demeanor, so I do apologize, but I did want to get to this track quickly. Shout out to DB Cooper, David, super cool techno DJ and just, fan of good techno music, has not only brought multiple artists to my attention, but has made me take a closer look at some names and labels that I don't normally pay close attention to. Let me explain what I mean. He mentioned that he wouldn't mind seeing a reaction to a shredder tune, and it occurred to me, of all Guy McGaffer's aliases, I mentioned before, Geezer is arguably my favorite acid techno producer. I love his stuff as Jaw Scoop. There's a number of aliases that he's been part of, with other people like Carbine and so on that I'm a big fan of. But it does occur to me that the shredder material, which I think he uses exclusively for his releases on Cluster, I don't know the material nearly as well. And again, I think that's partially because Cluster, I've heard people describe it as London acid techno without the acid. I think that's a pretty fair description. There are some early releases I know for sure, like the Temperature Drop one early on in, I think it's 96. That one definitely has some acid. So I do think there's some releases over the years that have had acid, but I know it's more of a just warehouse techno sort of vibe label. And so DB Cooper suggested that I might take a look at a shredder tune. So this is, what is it exactly called? It's 32,930 miles there and back. So this was on Cluster, 2006. And yeah, this is a Guy McGaffer tune under the shredder name. I literally have not heard this tune before. As I mentioned, there are some shredder tunes that I'm aware of, even if I don't have them in my collection. I remember there's one called Human Rights. Yeah, I think that's 02. So I know that one, but again, oh, and I didn't realize he did a release with Lenny D on Cluster Records. What? I did not know that. I may have to check that out. Nevertheless, this is from 2006. As I said, it's called 32,930 miles there and back. Let's get it. Oh, I was gonna comment on the kick drum, and then hold on, we got some stuff going on. Yeah, it has that Geezer kick that, again, this is 06. It makes perfect sense to me. Sounds like Geezer kicks on Skankadelic, Blipped, some wah-wah that he was doing at the time. It's bigger, thumpier than some of the kicks that he used in the 90s, I want to say. I do like there's a hollowing out percussive tone that comes at the end of the measures. So it's part of the overall techno rhythm is at the end of the measure it sort of hollows out and then kicks back into full sound again. Yo, he's playing with the percussive, configuration. That low end that came in is interesting. It's almost melodic, a chord. And I do like this percussive. It's the clap is part of this. clap and like a sort of, tribal kind of wooden drum sound. This is groovy, like, again, this could work with a lot of stuff he did with Mr. Burns on Flipped. Or, one of the really good releases is a track he did with Chino, Geezer, that would fit very well with this. I reacted to that, although I don't think it's up on this new channel yet. I have the video again, after that calamitous chain of events. Again, like, he's playing with the percussion. Now that I'm remembering now, David did mention. Wait, what? Yo! Number one, I was not expecting that. That's awesome. That almost reminds me of an old school, like, Tin Rib or maybe a Triple I Tracks tune. But David did mention, and I was just, like, keying in on it there, it has that sort of, at the end of measures, it's like slides into the next measure. Like it has this sort of like sliding smoothness that kind of like pushes it into the next measure. I really do like that, and I had forgotten that David mentioned that until I was just picking up on it there. But then right as I went to mention it, it's like, again, this old school, almost like hard house style bass line comes in. That was crazy. I gotta go back to that. Un momento, por favor. Yo, again, I have a track on Triple I that really work well with this. The DJ's hi-hat pumping it up, something like that. Yeah, that bass line is crazy. And it's like, this is fucking dope. Layer is golden. Oh my god. Mea culpa, Cluster. I may not have been paying as close attention to this label as I should. Should have been. Oh. Or it's like this gritty, like industrial acid haze, more like. What? It's, again, the London acid techno without the acid thing. This sounds like if you put some old school, really bubbly geezer acid work in, it would be an organ grinder too. But without that, it's something else. It's cluster. But it has that. You have a little bit of acid electricity down. Percussion like pulled inside out again. Got like a voice kind of haunting the track now. Oh. Some like malfunctioning hardware vibes. I mean, this is crazy. I worry it might be a little loud. Oh. Wait, what? Hear that like bubbly alien dribble? the grind and like low-level industrial heft of that sound is amazing. There's that dissonant layer still kind of hanging over the tune. And again, now we have these weird like alien bubbles also. There's so much going on. There's that voice again, hectoring the track still. Oh, you hear that like high sort of, again, like alien tractor beam acid flourish? That hard synth is the champion of the track. Yo. Like that sort of alien sound standing out more. And the triple I tracks bass line, man. This is I did not know what I was in for. Shout out to DB Cooper for putting this one on my radar. There are 2 other tracks in this EP. We'll have to come back for them. See that like really high pitch? It was almost like like a modem like dial up that it was like kind of out of rhythm, but it was like coming back into the rhythm. Again, we're just playing with the percussion. On the way out, what? And again, there's a little like, there's an electricity to it. It's heavy and grinding, but it's alive. And now it's like, that's a masterpiece. You know, as I said a few minutes ago, it does make me wonder whether I really need to go and do a deeper dive on the Cluster catalog. And, you know, obviously my resources are finite, so I may not be able to buy the whole catalog right away. But it does seem like there's going to have to be a few that I'm going to have to go pluck and find some good copies of on Discogs. Let me know what you think. I'm sure many of you know Cluster way better than I do, so please let me know if there's a tune that, like, hey, if you are going to look into getting some clusters, this is the one you should start with, and so on. I mentioned that temperature drop one. As I said, I know there's at least a couple early on which actually have a lot of acid, or at least, you know, a bigger acid component than I think the label is known for, but I realized those might be anomalies. There was one by, who was it, K.D. Smith? Oh man, there's a tune that Acid Brew and I used to talk about because he had that record and he used it in one of his sets, and it didn't really have acid. It was like more just kind of this hard, like gritty techno tune. But I remember that one really standing out, so I may have to check out that record. But like I said, let me know. You know, I'm not nearly as knowledgeable about Cluster as I am a lot of the other London techno labels, so please do give a shout if you have a track that you'd like to recommend. Otherwise, I do appreciate you listening. Shout out again to DB Cooper, David. Super cool dude. Got some cool mixes on his DJ channel. Go check them out. I've checked out a couple. I keep meaning to see more. But obviously the last few weeks I've been really busy with dealing with like YouTube and Google and my old IT desk and just trying to figure out everything that's going on with moving from one channel to another. But he does really have some cool mixes on his channel, so go check them out. Other than that, have a good day, have a good night. I'll see you next time. Peace.